So Assistant Commissioner Peter McKenna, I'm the Commander of the Central Metropolitan Region, and I'm also this year's Commander of Operation Anzac Day 2025. What a special, solemn day we are going into tomorrow. Probably the most important day of our calendar in Australia, I would say. Really looking forward to coming along and commemorating those servicemen and women who have gone before us and those who are still serving, and paying our respect for them. It'll be a really significant police operation, as it is every year. There'll be hundreds of police from many different sections, including our general duties police, our Riot squad, our traffic and hire patrol. We'll have bike squads, we'll have horses. We police all throughout the Sydney CBD to ensure the safety of those dignitaries, those men and women who served for Australia, but also for the crowds that are coming into the city tomorrow. I would like to say to people to be patient, because there are large crowds coming into the city. Please be respectful of one another. Listen to police officers and other people who are in charge, whether that be at train stations or otherwise, and I'm sure we'll have a great day. Those of you who are kicking on and maybe playing a bit of two-up or deciding to have some drinks in the city, just have a bit of a plan as to how you're going to do that, how you're going to get home. Look after your mates. Just make sure that everyone gets in safe and gets home safe. We really don't want a day where it's a lot of police involvement on the negative side of things, but I can assure you that we have zero tolerance for antisocial or criminal behaviour. But tomorrow is about those men and women who've gone before us, those men and women who have served this country and are still serving. And I'm very proud to be the New South Wales Police Force Commander of Operation Anzac Day 2025, and looking forward to celebrating, commemorating what is probably the most solemn day on our calendar. And I'll take any questions if you have them.
2 days ago, was police
Yeah, it was really disappointing, wasn't it, to see a couple of people decide that they would vandalise a war memorial leading up to Anzac Day. It's just un-Australian, to be honest with you. That male and female who are responsible for that have been arrested and charged with malicious damage by the police at Orange. What I would say is, yes, we certainly are ramping up our patrols, our security. Here in Sydney, we have 24/7 security of our monuments leading up to Anzac Day, because you can't account for that 1%, can you? Those idiots who would want to get out there and do something like that. It's really quite disgusting. If we find people who are doing the wrong thing there, they will face the full force of the law, I can assure you that. Oh, there'll be hundreds of officers out tomorrow. I don't normally disclose the exact number, but suffice to say, we'll be everywhere. We'll be throughout the night leading up to the dawn service, throughout the marches, the other commemorations throughout the day. You will see lots and lots of police out there. Look, it's very similar. We risk assess every year. We risk assess on the intelligence we have at the time. So the overlay you'll see this year is not very different to other years. You will see some differences in how we've blocked off streets, etc. That's just for a quicker egress at the end of the day. But otherwise, I'm very happy with the security overlay and the plan. And like I said, if people just listen to authorities tomorrow, they'll get around the city very, very well. Like, for example, instead of having static concrete barriers, etc., we'll have fire and rescue trucks or rural fire service trucks. We'll have, that's for the hostile vehicle mitigation sort of things. We will have other areas where we can pick things up very quickly and move them at the end of the day. So we get the city back to normal, get people able to get about again when they need to.
Just to change the tack really quickly, there was 3 attacks incidents yesterday. One in Braemar, which is the PM's electorate, and one in Benelong. A man is being treated with serious injuries and is now in hospital. And another man was erratic and kicking down signs or something. What's your message to punters who are heading out to vote?
Look, there's no tolerance for that type of behaviour anywhere, anytime. Understand, right around the world at the moment, there's heightened emotions with elections. It's not what we want to see here in Sydney or in Australia. So if people are going to those areas, they need to understand that They need to be respectful, they need to be understanding of other people's ideals, and that is how we are in Australia. So those people who are responsible for those offences have all been arrested and charged now. And once again, zero tolerance for that type of behaviour. We'll be ramping up again police patrols and police presence around polling booths leading up to the election. You know, there's volunteers out there, whether you agree or disagree with their politics, that doesn't mean you've got the right to do anything unlawful or criminal towards them. And if we have to be there to protect people, we will, and we will take action.
Does it concern you that these incidents won't happen on day one of pre-polls? Perhaps an indication of what we could expect?
Certainly, I would say there's heightened emotions out there. You can see that. Like I said, it's around the world, isn't it, with political environment at the moment. It's disappointing, I would say, but two isolated incidents. We're not seeing a pattern of those at the moment. And my message is to people out there, be tolerant, because if not, you'll find yourself in handcuffs and locked up in the back of a police truck.
Double demerits in place again?
Double demerits, look, really strong focus on the roads and traffic as always over this period of time. You know, we can't emphasise it enough. It's people's decision making which causes those serious and fatal motor vehicle accidents. So please, please, please listen. And we put this message out every time. Get home safely. You know, there's families that need mum, dad, sons, daughters, you know, to get home to them for this long weekend. So if you're driving, be tolerant, take your time, don't drink and drive, don't speed, take those breaks when you need to take them, and just understand that there's lots of people going to be on the roads, but so will we. And if we detect you breaking the law, if we detect you speeding, drink driving or anything else, well then the appropriate action will be taken and you won't get to your destination because you'll probably be sitting on the side of the road with no licence.
It's the same question.
Well, first of all, I'll just hand over to Minister Harris to step up now and say a few words.
Yes, thank you. David Harris, New South Wales Minister for Veterans. I'll say a few words and I'll hand over to Mick Bainbridge and then we'll hear from Transport as well. This year is an important year for Anzac Day, marking the 110th anniversary. And communities right across New South Wales will gather in commemoration at dawn services, at marches and local events to commemorate those men and women who have served in our Australian Defence Force, both veterans and those current serving men and women. It's very important that right across New South Wales, as many people as possible get to these events. It shows that our community understands and respects the roles of serving men and women in defence of our country. It is nothing more important about the sacrifice that not just those within the military, but also their families give to our community so that we live in the democracy with the freedoms that we experience today. We ask people to make sure that they get on well tomorrow at the different ceremonies, and particularly as a former teacher, let's make sure the young children get along and learn about Anzac, learn about the traditions and understand how important Anzac Day is to our community. The New South Wales Government is very pleased to be able to support the events, particularly here in the city. And I'll now hand over to the President of RSL New South Wales, Mick Bainbridge, to talk more about those events.
Thank you, Minister. Mick Bainbridge, President, RSL New South Wales. Tomorrow is a fantastic opportunity for the community to come together, to unite and commemorate the service of those before us and those who continue to serve. We've got well over 160,000 female and male veterans in the state. So I encourage every member of the community to get out and commemorate in your own way. We've got various commemorations through the day. At 4:20 a.m. we'll have the dawn service at the Cenotaph. It'll be televised on ABC Channel 7 and Channel 9. After that we have the march, which will also be televised. It starts at the intersection of Elizabeth and Martin Place. That will be televised right through down to the end of Hyde Park Memorial. Following that, at midday, there's another commemoration at the Anzac Memorial behind me at Hyde Park, and an evening sunset service at the Cenotaph at 5 o'clock. I'll also remind everyone that the commemoration at the start of the Anzac Match, which has been going on near on 100 years now between St George and the Roosters, they will have a commemoration. So it's a good opportunity for all members of the community who can't otherwise get out to Sydney to participate in their own way and commemorate in their own way. Yeah.
Is that unusual?
Unfortunately, it's becoming more common. I don't know if the people had an agenda or if they're just a couple local town idiots, but it's come to expect it. But always ramp up that security. But it goes to members of the public to point out when things have been done like that. So we leave that to the police. Just one last thing, I'd like to thank the state government, all the police and emergency service workers. It's them who keep the day rolling. It's them who allow us to observe the day. And that goes all the way through to transport staff and essentially any essential staff and workers that keep the day running for our veterans. So thank you.
How strong is March going to be this year? Do you have any numbers for how many veterans take?
I don't have the exact numbers, but probably enough for me to have a couple beers by the time I get to the end to wait for it to finish up. So
Cool.
yeah, that's right. So.
How much emotion do you feel on the day when you see that march, when it cuts through the heart of our city like that? How do you feel as the representative of the organisation?
Extremely proud. So I'll be leading the march this year with my two kids, Matilda and Mason. They're proud to be there. They're proud of all their uncles and aunties, the extended family that have served. Yeah, it's heartening having lost friends overseas and more friends to suicide. I think Anzac Day takes on a special meaning for each and every veteran and their families. So it's the one day of the year. It's probably not enough thanks to our servicemen and women, but get out there, say thanks to the family, say thanks to the servicemen and women out there, and we still have them around the globe serving us proudly today.
Will we see anything significant to mark that 110-year anniversary?
No, not necessarily, but just hoping that the numbers grow and there's more community interest. And it's just a day of unity. I keep pointing out to people, it's not a celebration of war. War is a terrible business. There's some terrible things going on around the world, as you know. We're very fortunate to be where we are and live how we live. And I think people should reconcile that and come out and be part of it.
And for those veterans that we will see marching, what does the day mean to them? Every year we certainly come for each and every one of those people who turn out.
It's a fantastic thanks to them. Like service can be thankless. You're often away for 8 months or 12 months of the year. They miss out on their kids' birthdays. They miss out on weddings, family events. They're fairly twice removed from that normal family environment, and that's where the other halves and the partners come in, and they're the ones that really do the tough service. So. Being a generational veteran, one grandfather of mine was in World War II in the destroyers, and another was a Tobruk Rat who came back and got sent after, I think, 2 days leave, got sent to Kokoda. So there's a lot of generational families out there of service, and I think it's something as a nation we should be really proud of.
Most Australians who perhaps won't be able to partake in tomorrow's commemorations but want to support veterans, how can they do that?
Yep, well, they can do it by reaching out to the RSL New South Wales webpage. If they're unable to get to a service, a simple email could be all they do. The only thing I do want to point out is there's a very, very large difference between an RSL club and RSL New South Wales. So RSL New South Wales is a charitable organisation. We care about the care and welfare of veterans and their families, and the clubs are about beer and pokies. So going to a club doesn't mean you're supporting veterans in any case. So they're good at capitalising and trading on the veteran image, but they're certainly not helping veterans.
And a recent study found that only 23% of Gen Z are strongly connected to Anzac Day. A, does that concern you? And B, what more needs to be done to ensure that all Australians, have that strong connection and appreciation for our community?
Yeah, look, it's a concerning trend, but I think the schools do a fantastic job holding their own commemorations before school broke for holidays. But I'd say to any young person out there, I've been to war a few times and it's not a great experience. Those things stay with you forever. And you don't have to look too far, like places like Ukraine, to see that those young men never had a chance. They weren't allowed to leave. So they've lost a significant portion of their population, and it could be any other country next. So I think it's important that we commemorate. We thank our servicemen and women, but it's also about, how do we avoid those sort of conflicts in the future? That's also part of the day, to show us the sheer loss. So I'd say to anyone that questions it, any crowd at the football, we were losing those sort of numbers in a week. That's a pretty horrific number, and it wasn't too far ago in history.
What more needs to be done to, I guess, boost that education?
Look, I think it's hard to force on people. It's part of our national identity. I think everyone has to take from it what they want, but there's not much more than giving them the opportunity to learn. That we can't force it. That's it. Yep, finished. Cheers.
Barbara Wise, Acting Coordinator General at Transport for New South Wales. To honour veterans and serving ADF personnel, public transport across New South Wales will be free for those travelling on Anzac Day, for their families and for their carers. We just ask that you show your medals or have some other proof of service. We will have extensive road closures in the CBD here tomorrow to support the successful running of the event. We are asking people to please leave their car at home and use plenty of extra early morning services we will have on to support people getting to the events early in the morning. Suburban train services and metro services will be starting from around 2:45 a.m. and intercity train services will be starting from around 12:30 a.m. in order to help people get into the city. For the dawn service, we will need to terminate those George Street light rail services at Town Hall and have people walk down to Martin Place for those. As I said, we will have extensive road closures and parking restrictions in the city tomorrow, so please leave the car at home. There is information and really good maps on livetraffic.com as to where all those road closures are. If you do have mobility issues or for some reason cannot catch public transport, we will have dedicated accessible pick-up and drop-off zones at certain points around the city. They are all on that map. And we have provided that information to taxi companies and rideshare so people can come in and out as smoothly as possible. Just remind you there will be no parking, so please do not try and park in the city tomorrow morning.
Can I just clarify really quickly, where do you show your medals in free transport?
If you're getting on a bus, for example, just show the driver your medal, or at a train station and the staff at the gates will let you through.